imagine how sad the life of the individual who actually wants a season 2 of the live-action Cowboy Bebop must be? Just how devoid of any sort of quality content their existence must be. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and Comic Book Resources is going to try and convince us today that Cowboy Bebop needs to be given a second chance and a second season. Let's see you put your 9th grade debate skills to test, honey. Why Netflix's Cowboy Bebop deserves a second chance and a second season. Netflix Cowboy Bebop may be considered one of the worst live-action anime adaptations ever made, but it deserves a season 2. No, first of all, yes, it absolutely is one of the worst live-action anime adaptations ever made, but why do you think it deserves a season 2? Like, can you imagine if someone was like, oh yeah, The Room really needs a sequel? Like, no it doesn't. Recently, Netflix Cowboy Bebop came back in the public consciousness thanks to the streaming service's landed adaptation of One Piece. However, it wasn't because of nostalgia or news of Season 2. Netflix Cowboy Bebop was only brought up again to be contrasted negatively against the more well-received One Piece, or to be mocked yet again by fans of the quintessentially 90s anime. Stop calling it quintessentially 90s. Like, first of all, aside from the animation quality, if you just sat there and watched it, you wouldn't know when it was from the 90s, because it is timeless. It's not stereotypically or quintessentially 90s. There's nothing over the top 90s-esque about it. There's a lot of anime out there you can say are quintessentially 90s. Cowboy Bebop isn't one of them. There's a reason it still runs to this day on Adult Swim, or if it doesn't still run, it only just recently stopped running. Like, it is so quintessentially anime, not 90s anime. It is a gateway anime. It's one of the most well-received and well-respected anime of all time. So to belabor it by just calling it quintessentially 90s is beyond disrespectful, and I don't see how that's going to help your case of saying that this atrocious adaptation needs a second season. Yes, people have been comparing it to One Piece because, shockingly, One Piece was awesome. It was really good, especially as far as live-action anime adaptations go. But even for non-anime fans, like my grandmother, let me tell you, my 70-year-old grandma, she doesn't particularly watch anime on account of she's a 70-year-old grandma, but she loves her some Netflix, and guess what she queued up the other day, not knowing what the hell it was? She queued up One Piece. And you know what she really enjoyed? One Piece. She literally told me the other, Leon, I found this great show. I didn't even know it was going to be about pirates. I just saw a dragon on the screen and thought it looked cool. I was like, yeah, I had to explain to my grandma what One Piece was. Bless her soul. But you know what? She loved it, which is more than I can say for anyone that watched Cowboy Bebop. These, despite the fact that Netflix's live-action take on the classic anime was far from the worst live-action reinterpretation of anime, give me a worse one besides Dragon Ball Evolution. Like I dare ya. Cowboy Bebop, I'ma say it, hot take, your boy Leon's coming in with some fire, with some flames. Cowboy Bebop, worse than Death Note. That's right, worse than the live-action Death Note. Now, that's not me saying live-action Death Note's good. It absolutely is not. But Cowboy Bebop, worse. Or of any kind of genre story for that matter. As unpopular as it may be with anime purists, it's hard to deny the backlash the series endured during its debut a few years ago, and the ridicule it continues to receive even now were unfairly overblown. Unfairly overblown. Let me learn you how the financial system things works, okay? The show needs to be good enough to bring in new customers. Netflix didn't make coin off of the Cowboy Bebop show because it sucked that bad. It wasn't just anime purists, as you put it, who completely dogged on this show. It was everyone. Nobody liked this show. Like, it was canceled after, I believe, 2 weeks. It may have even been less. It may have been 1 week. It was a month at the most. Either way, it for sure didn't get past the 1 month mark before they decided to pull the plug. I'm sorry, it's not just going to be anime fans that have that kind of weight. Now, here's what happens. You make a TV show, you make an adaptation, the anime fans watch it, they either love it, and they tell people, go watch it, who aren't anime fans. That's why One Piece is blowing up like it is, because it's getting such good word of mouth from the initial community and fan base. Or you've got your OG fans who are going to just lambast it like they do almost every live action adaptation, and then it's going to turn other people off to the prospect because, oh yeah, no, these guys, they probably know what they're talking about. They are fans after all. People listen to actual fans. We can tell articles like this are just here to try and have an unpopular hot take opinion to get some eyes on you. Well, here's the dealio, all y'all watching. You don't need to click articles like these because I got you covered. I'll give them the one click that can make 10 cents or whatever. That way there aren't, hundreds or even thousands of you clicking on it, giving them actual dollars. Because let's be honest, comic book resources, they don't deserve it. Not only was Cowboy Bebop much better than his detractors claimed, false, but it deserved a second chance, doubly false, secondarily false. More importantly, it deserves a second season and a chance to finish the story. ultimately false. There's so many things wrong, and this is these one little sentence here, 2 sentences, I suppose, that I cannot even begin. That could be an entire video on its own, but let's keep reading. Netflix Cowboy Bebop was not above criticism. Okay, so you're right, it was not above criticism. In fact, that's about the only positive thing that came of this show, was all the valid criticism, because even people, even the type of individual that your boy would genuinely disagree with on every single other perspective, they were all like, yeah, but that Cowboy Bebop show, though, that was rough. And I was like, yeah, it was, wasn't it? And we got to have a little bonding moment. So you know what? You did do a little bit of good there. And like I said in my One Piece review, if Cowboy Bebop being an atrocious bomb was what was needed for Netflix to learn how staying true to the source material works, and it gave us a good One Piece product, well then you know what? At least Cowboy Bebop here justified its existence. That's not to say Netflix Cowboy Bebop is perfect. The series made some glaring mistakes when it came to adapting the anime. Literally every mistake you can make in the book, but yes, despite retaining some of the anime's most dramatic moments, the series still maintained an air of artifice and camp that clashed with these poignant beats. The series also watered down the anime's political subtext and underlying darkness, and had more in common with the kinds of cartoonish and formulaic action comedies than the anime refuted. It wasn't surprising to hear accusations of Netflix doing this to make Cowboy Bebop more mainstream, and yes, they did all that. You actually have a very clear assessment here of what happened. Now, this is only about 20% of the story, don't get me wrong. When you have snobby actresses talking trash to the fans, when you don't follow the source material, and when you don't include the original creator in on the process, Shinichiro Watanabe, even though you claim you did, yes, those all also affect the product. I mean, do you guys not remember when Shinichiro Watanabe straight up said he turned the live action show off after the very first scene? It was that bad? Bro, if the original creator says it's that bad, then it's that bad. You don't see Akira Toriyama out there defending Dragon Ball Evolution. I mean, it's because of Dragon Ball Evolution that we ended up getting more Dragon Ball, because he was not about to allow that to be part of Dragon Ball's legacy. And good for him. Netflix Cowboy Bebop was also not for everyone. You know what? People say the same thing about One Piece, and yes, that's true, it's not for everybody, but 182 million hours streamed on Netflix in the first week. I'd say they did something right that Cowboy Bebop clearly didn't do. The series tried and failed to appeal to a broad audience instead of tapping into the anime's niche appeal. Fans of the anime were understandably disappointed and infuriated at the changes made to the story, and especially those made to the characters. Alright, see, even you guys, even CBR is asking for them to follow the source material. That's pretty rare. I'll give a small modicum of credit. Similarly, newcomers were alienated by series' fealty to the anime. Okay, now, so they're saying, oh, it wasn't source material accurate enough for some, but too source material accurate for others. Alright, you gotta pick a lane though. The series never escaped the anime's shadow. Well, it's not gonna escape the anime's shadow. No live action adaptation will ever escape the anime's shadow. I mean, I tell you guys all the time that the live action Rurouni Kenshin films are flat out perfect. They are the best example of a live action anime adaptation. And you know what? I maintain that, and I will probably always maintain that. But the anime is still better. I mean, there's a reason the anime that have been around since the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s that are getting these live action adaptations. There's a reason the anime is still in the public consciousness, still a part of the zeitgeist. It's because it casts the longest shadow, and ain't no live action adaptation going to escape that. It might be able to separate itself in some niche way, like I think One Piece has done, but I'm sorry, almost everyone is going to unanimously agree the anime is better. And for the people that started with the live action series and then got curious and started to watch the anime, they're also going to come to the conclusion, yeah, the anime is better, but I appreciate the live action for being the gateway. That's just how this stuff works. So you can't complain about it never escaping the anime's shadow. That is an impossibility when it comes to live action adaptations. It also relied too much on one-for-one recreations of the anime's iconic storylines and scenes. Bullshit. First of all, it did a horrible job of recreating the scenes and the storylines, and second of all, if it relied on that too much, then once again explain to me One Piece's smashing success, and explain why the Rurouni Kenshin films are the best live-action anime adaptations of all time, because those almost do one-for-one follow the source material. But yes, go ahead and talk about how you think that, oh, modern writers can do so much better than what's come before, tried, true, and tested, may become a household name, and made the creators untold millions of dollars, and are worth God knows how much net worth for the overall property. But our modern Netflix writers that are so bad at their jobs they have to go on strike because robots are going to take them over, they could do better. Are you out your goddamn mind, CBR? Newcomers didn't connect with this revert nostalgia, while fans were angry the show didn't stick closely to the source material when it clearly could have. Again, pick a aside. Not helping was how Cowboy Bebop's creator, Shinichiro Watanabe, barely had a hand in creating the series. Worse, he disowned the Netflix adaptation. Okay, hold on. This is called Why It Deserves a Second Chance in a Second Season. All you've done so far is clearly explain why we should never get a second season, why we really shouldn't have ever gotten this first season. Like, are you at some point going to argue for Season 2? I would like to get to that part, because so far I'm crushing you in this debate, CBR. These stood in sharp contrast to One Piece creator Eiichiro Oda's involvement in the Netflix live-action One Piece and his glowing approval of it. Netflix's Cowboy Bebop was thematically indecisive and tonally confused action comedy that claimed to be a new take on the anime, despite evidence to the contrary. It's easy to see why it didn't click well with general viewers and why fans hated it. The hate for Cowboy Bebop was greatly exaggerated. No, it was not. It was greatly earned. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip this part. Let's hear their argument for why we need a Season 2. Netflix Cowboy Bebop deserves a second season. One of the worst things about Netflix canceling Cowboy Bebop so suddenly was that it was never given the chance to finish its story. Oh well, that's how TV works. Shows get canceled because they aren't making money. I mean, let's be honest, Firefly, that deserves a second season. It never got to finish its story. I mean, okay, yeah, years later we got the movie Serenity, but at the time, that got canceled, didn't get to finish its story. There's a million shows I can say got canceled and never got to finish their story. That's just part of being a TV show. Heck, it's part of being Netflix at this point. They've canceled so many TV shows after Season 1. All those shows they've canceled after Season 1 could probably become their own streaming service called CancelFlix or something like that. CancelFlix sounds like something that hardcore Me Tooers would do. Like that would be their streaming service, or it would just only be like pro-feminist movies. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Point is, no, it didn't need to finish its story. It was bad. Nobody wants to see a bad story to completion. That they want to leave if there's a bad story and find a good story. Humans love good stories. Although it took too much time to do so, Netflix Cowboy Bebop was clearly laying the groundwork for its new take on the anime by first lulling audiences into a sense of familiarity. Just when anime fans were sure that Netflix show would end the same way the anime did, it closed the Bebop crew splitting up on bad terms, Ed making a last-second appearance, Vicious deposed, and Julia assuming control of the Red Dragon Syndicate. Yes, all bad things. Complete and utter departure from the source material. Oh yeah, that's what fans who have bought merch and bought the DVDs and watched the show over and over on Adult Swim and have action figures of them hanging behind their back. I don't know if you could see it on camera with my dark room, but there's a Spike Spiegel action figure hanging on the wall behind me. The point is, yeah, that's what the paying customer wants who love this source material. They're paying to see it changed. That makes no damn sense! Netflix Cowboy Bebop needs a second season to tie up those loose ends and explore the original stories the writers planned. No, because these writers are garbage at their jobs. They're terrible at their job. The fact that you think these writers need a second chance is proof that you have not been living in a world of good content. You've just been consumed with all the crap that Netflix and Disney Plus puts on your plate, and you immediately want to call it good because you're hoping to get a nice little good dog goodie bag from these individuals up at the upper echelons of CEOs of Netflix or Disney. You want these little, trinkets and gifts and be invited to the exclusive parties and clubs. Disney ain't giving that shit out anymore, and guess what? Now we're actually seeing the media actively turn on Disney. It's been pretty incredible to see. People are still licking the boot and sucking the toes of Netflix, though, because you've got articles like this. No one needs, nor wants, definitely doesn't need, or want a Season 2 of Cowboy Bebop. And the writers that tried to impose their will on what was already a beautifully, perfectly well-written story by Shinichiro Watanabe, thinking they could do better than him, as disgusting, and I hope those writers never get their jobs back. May this writer's strike starve them and their children out for generations to come. Unresolved cliffhangers aside, Netflix Cowboy Bebop also deserved a second season because it was the kind of series that needed time to get its footing. Full stop once again. There is something that most individuals have called a 3-episode rule. If it has not found its footing or found a way to captivate you, the audience member, after 3 episodes, outski, done. Over with. The only reason your boy has continued to watch Ahsoka is because I feel like indebted to it at this point. I would have dropped that shit after 2 episodes the premiere night if it weren't for the fact that I held on to some shred of hope that maybe there would be something positive to find. Then after episode 3, I thought, well, there's only 8 episodes. I may as well see it all the way through. And I have hated every Tuesday night because of it. It is quite literally the worst part of my day. I actively hold off as long as possible. I was supposed to have dropped my Ahsoka episode 5 review. I didn't even want... I took all these notes. I watched the episode. I didn't even want to record the video because that would mean just putting more time and effort into something related to a project or a product that I loathe, and I don't know that I want to do that. It was fun at first, but man, now I'm really falling off of it. Maybe the Ahsoka reviews will keep coming. I don't even know. The point that I'm getting at with this is, if you have not got your audience interested and captivated within 3 episodes, especially the Netflix model where you drop them all in one day, I'm sorry, it didn't need more time to find its footing. The writers should have been good enough to do that from the jump, and they weren't. Hence the reason the robots are justifiably taking their jobs, and hopefully coming for yours too, CBR. Before it became commonplace for streaming services to cancel a series almost as soon as it aired because it didn't break enough records in one day, shows had time to grow. It's rare for a series to open with a truly perfect debut season. Also very easy to forget the amazing and now iconic first seasons like Game of Thrones were the exceptions, not the rule. No. The vast majority of shows that go on to have long careers have very good first seasons. Supernatural, season 1 is legitimately the best season, and that show is like 15 seasons long. Saturday Night Live has been going on for many years, and let's be real, the early episodes, absolutely probably some of the best. House went on for years. Grey's Anatomy went on for years. So-and-so and so-and-so. All these shows that have continued throughout years upon years, season after season, all because they've got good, strong season 1s. Cowboy Bebop didn't have that because it was written by a bunch of talentless hacks who thought they could do better than the original source material creator himself because their hubris is that damn thick. Netflix Cowboy Bebop apparently needed more episodes to reach its potential, but I think we've all thoroughly debunked that, and to address the mistakes made in the first season. Obviously, it's impossible to tell if a hypothetical season 2 would have been better or worse than the first. There's really no worse than the first season, but we can say it would be equal levels of complete and utter trash if it wouldn't just be more of the same, or if it would have just been canceled as well. That said, it's still unfortunate that Netflix Cowboy Bebop, and by extension many other canceled single-season streaming series, was never given the chance that shows like Breaking Bad got. Well, guess what? I'm glad you bring up Breaking Bad. I'm watching Breaking Bad for the very first time right now. I'm watching a few episodes a night. That's right, your boy didn't see it when it was airing, and then there was all this hype around it, and I also grew up in a very meth-oriented part of the country, and my mom left me because of meth. I thought it would be the kind of show where I couldn't emotionally handle it, because, mommy issues and whatnot. But now here I am at about 30 years old, watching it for the first time, and I can absolutely see all the hype around Breaking Bad. This show is goddamn incredible. The fact that you even bringing up Breaking Bad in the same article talking about Cowboy Bebop is frankly gut-wrenching, but you do you. Before it was declared to be one of the best TV shows ever made, Breaking Bad started with rocky ratings and reviews. It wasn't until season 4 when it became the ratings juggernaut and modern classic it is today. I'm calling bogus on that as well, because maybe it wasn't the ratings juggernaut, but this show was effectively a hit from maybe season 2. Well, I don't know about season 1, but maybe season 2. It's only a 5-season TV show. And don't talk about how it was a juggernaut, not until season 4, because at that point, you're telling me they paid for 3 non-lucrative seasons of a TV show that people weren't liking? That's not how money and the industry works, you thick-headed monogonons. Netflix Cowboy Bebop is fated to become a cult favorite. Despite an impassioned fan petition, support for the live-action series, cast and crew, plus one of the anime's voice actors, it's unlikely that Netflix will make Cowboy Bebop Season 2. The first season's reception was too mixed, and its viewership was too disappointing to justify production costs. This, thankfully, doesn't mean it's the end of the line. Like Speed Racer before it, Netflix Cowboy Bebop is destined for a cult popularity. In 2008, Speed Racer was ridiculed for the same reasons Netflix Cowboy Bebop became a go-to punchline in the anime community. No. Speed Racer is an anime from the 60s, maybe 70s, but I'm almost positive 60s. It's not like there was a bunch of individuals out there in 2008 hopping all over Facebook and Twitter talking about how it wasn't source material accurate. Speed Racer is not the type of movie that needs to be just super close to the source material. There's a vast difference between Speed Racer and Cowboy Bebop, and that's an incredibly disingenuous comparison. Yes, it bombed at the box office. It was only after nearly 2 decades that Speed Racer got the love it deserved. It's not uncommon for even the most divisive live-action adaptations of anime work to be reappraised positively with enough time. Really? Then where's all the positive talk about Ghost in the Shell or Dragon Ball Evolution? Like show me how this, because Speed Racer is now looked at as a cult favorite, so will Cowboy Bebop. Well, once again, show me the evidence. Where's the other live-action anime adaptations? Where's the Death Note? I mean, yeah, that's not super old, but it's old enough. Dragon Ball Evolution came out in like 2009. I would think if it was going to become a cult classic at this point, it would have already. It's been almost 15 years. Like let's be real here, shall we? Netflix Cowboy Bebop has the makings of these kind of cult classics. It won't be surprising to see it mentioned positively in the future, especially if it somehow finds its way to video. That's never gonna happen. You might be asking yourselves, Leon, why are you covering this? You know, Cowboy Bebop, that's old news. You're a nerdy news channel. And you're right, I am a nerdy news channel. And in my opinion, this is news. How is this news? Well, let me tell you. You know, sit down, take a seat. You're already sitting. Good. Or watching this on your phone, whatever. The reason that this is news is because it goes to show that the news is completely manufactured for contrarian points of view. The vast majority of individuals hated this show. That's why it was canceled. No one watched it, and the people that did watch it ranked it. Yeah, no one liked this, but everyone's loving One Piece because One Piece is genuinely good. These people are so obsessed with having their viewpoint heard, but also making sure that their point of view is opposite the masses. It makes them feel some sense of superiority, some sort of, oh, look at how cultured and class I have and I am because I like something you don't. I actually have the mental fortitude to understand how deep and meaningful it really is. You plebeians just don't get that, and that is exactly what these sort of outlets do. That's what CBR does. That's what Kotaku does. That's what the Mary Sue does. Polygon. The list goes on. The point is, no one takes this sort of thing seriously, but the fact that they're still being made, that they haven't learned their lesson, these people don't sit there and think, hey, people don't want to read this. In fact, people spend a lot of time on YouTube making fun of this and getting paid more than we got paid to write it. Maybe we should reassess our values and money-making strategies. But they are so dedicated to this ideology of my viewpoint is better than yours because it's a minority opinion and I'm a leader, not a follower, that it is infesting nerd culture in quite possibly the funniest but potentially most detrimental ways you could really imagine. So that's why I'm covering this, because we're going to continue to see more articles like this trying to disparage One Piece or barely mention it at all, or disparage any of the positive things going on in nerd culture, especially in indie nerd culture, when you've got, you know, comics like Rip-A-Verse that are absolutely selling like hotcakes, making literal millions of dollars, but people want to talk about the things, the Marvel and DC comics that no one is buying. Yeah, indie is taking a hit. Things that give fans what they want, what they love, you know, things that follow the source material, those are taking a hit. I mean, Final Fantasy 16 was dragged through the mud because of fake racism cries. Like, anything that makes us, the general viewer, happy and positive is going to be attacked by these sorts of institutions, and so we need to call them out any way we can, especially when articles like these are written. I'm doing my part, you do yours, and by do yours, I mean let me know what you think, whether you do it in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord, and please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day, almost every day. I've been slacking a bit lately, but let's be real, it's been pretty slow news due to all the WGA stuff, and I don't want to just crap out videos for you guys just to make myself feel better. No, I want it to be interesting. I want it to be something you want to enjoy. If I can't give you a quality product, why would I bother making the videos? I'm not Netflix. I do genuinely want to give you quality videos you're going to enjoy. And if you want to continue doing it, then please consider supporting me as a member on my channel, because it is a $4.99 subscription that, let's be honest, gives you some awesome perks, such as choosing what articles that I get to cover, members-only live streams, and eventually there will be merch discounts when I get merch, which is going to be coming relatively soon if all works out. But until then, like I said, please subscribe. It is all here in the Nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.